So one thing I get at work a lot, or out of work actually too, when people see me, I'm one of those like love the earth, love one another, work together, unite so everybody has a better life. If you work harder than somebody else, then you should be rewarded more than somebody else. And if you're lazy and you're not doing what you're supposed to, then you fall back. But that's not the world we live in today. And that's why I'm pushing for those things. I am pushing for equality. I'm pushing for the wealth gap to be closed. I'm pushing for kids not to be poisoned or hurt so that when they're 20, they're not brain dead and crazy. I'm pushing for people to be safe, healthy, work hard, and get ahead. And everybody pays their fair share in labor, taxes, wealth, all the way down the board. Nobody gets a leg up over another person. That's my belief. And I also believe we should be treating the earth very well because we shouldn't be taking anything from our grandkids. If something gives us a better life today but comes with consequences 100 years from now, then we don't get to make that choice. We don't. That is unfair because we are not alive to pay the price. You talk about taking responsibility for your actions. Well, what happens when you make an action that takes 40 to 100 years to see the consequences of? Who exactly is taking responsibility for those actions? The only people I can think of is corporations. They sometimes say on the label, we've been making root beer since 1820. We've been making beer since 1916. I see that. Corporations outlive the guys who make them. But other than that, there's not many people that can take responsibility for their actions when it comes to poisoning a larger population and then that large population seeing consequences down the line because they were being lied to. You have the tobacco industry, you got the pharmaceutical industry, you got the chemical industry, you got stuff in water, air, the plants dying. I remember when I was a kid that there was life everywhere in every bush. And there's still life, but just not as abundant as I remember. And I talk to people who remember the 80s, 70s, going back, and they say that is not a coincidence, that I am right. The further you go back, the more shit, the more animals there were. It just was not like this. So I am a definite, I guess you would call me an environmentalist, but not like, not a extreme. Like, I am somebody who takes it like in the point of view that we all have to be on the same page before change can come forward, and you have to change other people's minds before action can be committed, because you need a large group of people to make that same action. Like, if you wanted higher wages, what you would have to do is get just about everybody on minimum wage to decide to not work, sit down at work until they get higher wages, and put a complete stop to the economy until your demands are met. Once when we get a decent wage that at least pays the rent, then you can move forward. But if you wanted something like that and you did it not in a group, you would get fired and replaced in a heartbeat. So you need numbers, you need to work, you need to unite, you need to have a common goal and a common good. You need to have also somebody who won't suffer. So if your CEOs and the billionaires have made, or your company has made profits every year for the last 60 years, and it seems like the people at the top are making way more money than they need for what they're doing, then yeah, you could cut those in half and put it to the bottom. You could raise taxes. You could even put an inheritance tax in there. So if you try to give away money to your kids, well, sorry, you're going to have a heavy tax. These are good ways to do it. Money can be poisonous to your kids anyways. 2 million to your kids? Yeah, maybe he builds a good life for himself. 2 billion for your kids? Oh, that's going to be some asshole brat that's going to like have a total mental health issue. And there is videos and there are psychiatrists that explain having too much money is a mental health disorder. Literally, having too much money can cause mental health disorders. It has been proven. There's been studies going back centuries showing that if you have too much money, you can develop psychotic behaviors. So, that might be a good tax. But anyways, so I'm totally for equality. I'm totally for saving the environment for our grandkids. But here's the main thing. I work at a gas station. People ask me how I can work at a gas station and love the environment so much. Well, let's say that our government finally does pass a law to, let's say, ask gas stations to put in electric pumps, or they're switching to hydrogen or something like that. Well, I'll be one of the first people to tell my boss about it. I'll be one of the first people to be there because the gas stations aren't going to go out of business anytime soon. What they sell is energy. They sell fuel. If there's a new fuel, they just switch. I mean, gasoline used to be totally different. It used to be leaded. Before that, it was basically like kerosene. It was totally different. It used to knock your engine. I mean, they've changed pumps, they've changed the gas. I mean, they've changed engines. They're going to change. That's it. They're going to go from selling gasoline to selling electricity, or they'll be going from selling electricity to selling hydrogen. There'll be always a pump or a store that sells energy. Always. There'll always be a place that sells energies. And over time, these things convert slowly. And that's done on purpose. If every gas station in America stopped selling gas and went out of business at the same time, there would be a lot of angry people. Not only that, the oil companies would never allow it. That's why they're switching to this green, renewable energy. They're looking for a new industry that the oil industry can jump into and take over. Then it's always a changing industry. I mean, a lot of these big companies like oil, they don't go out of business. No, they adapt. They adapt. And if you're an environmentalist and you want there to be a good adaptation, it's good to be right there in the middle of it, because then you can help a seamless adaptation. By doing this, you can go to your manager and say, hey, there's a new grant out. The federal government is putting in new pumps free of charge. Or you can pass on information that your boss might not care about at all, but then he might care about it after he sees what it's really like. You also can be at the front of the charge by going from job to job trying to find the actual job that sells energy that you find to be safe and efficient, and then you can give your skills to them. If I have the experience 5 years at a gas station and then some hydrogen gas station opens up, I'm going to be one of the first people applying for that job to see if it's a safe industry, see if there's fumes, see what they say about it, and I can see for myself and pass on the information if it's not safe. I don't have to pass anything on about this gasoline stuff, though. People are very well informed what gasoline does.